Welcome to the Natural Healing Rail. I am Jackie, and today my guest is Anja Williams. She has had an incredible journey of trauma that started way back when she was in vitro. So she's going to share her story with us about her journey and how she is now running on the beach. I'm really grateful to meet you today. How are you?
I'm really good, and just you even saying running on the beach is like, yes. Thank you.
Yeah, you were in a wheelchair for many years, and that didn't happen until a little bit later on. So let's talk about kind of like the whole journey and what happened there. The whole nervous system is...
Yeah, my nervous system probably started out in trauma. My mother was not coping well with the pregnancy, with rubella in the family, and there were a lot of concerns. Didn't grow actually very fast either, and had quite a lot of, with respect to my family, quite a lot of dysfunctional neglect and perceived trauma from my body as a youngster. Oh, I'm just noticing I'm getting really warm just saying this. So yeah, I grew up in the countryside, a very loud, chaotic house. Fortunately, I had trees nearby and pets, which, I'll be honest, Jackie, I think kept me going. But in my teenage years, yeah, I was struggling with not fitting in. Well, from about the age of 10, really. Bit of abuse at home, some at school. So there wasn't really... My grandparents, who lived far away, were my safe sort of places, and the trees. And at the age of 15, my legs started giving way, but it was one, and then sometimes the other. And that kind of added to the treatment at school, because it looked like I didn't want to be a tennis player, much as I wanted to be anything anyway. So that stopped, and I realised that my body wasn't very reliable. I was studying for my exams, couldn't remember things, and that was really frustrating because I knew it and I could teach fellow pupils stuff,
Yep.
So I felt misunderstood, I guess, in a kind of umbrella term. Had a lot of shame over my body, so I didn't go swimming, and that would have been really good for my legs. Fast forward a few years, I had knees operated on. Trouble with my jaw and my knee. That was my mind.
Your jaw and your knee.
Both my knees, yeah. My jaw, not quite sure what was going on, but they took out my wisdom teeth and dislocated my jaw. So that was an added kind of trauma. Interesting time, shall we say. Yeah, definitely trauma. Yeah. So it was all going on while I was trying to study, as you do as in your late teens. And I found the only thing that would help was escaping from people and having alcohol to numb the pain, because it was about the only thing that stopped my knees hurting. Before surgery, that was. After surgery, it took ages to be able to walk again, and I had to redo some studies. And yeah, so it all felt a lot of work. I'd had a depression in the teens as well. Yeah, that's sort of how my first 20 years went.
Yeah, and so the trauma and the not fitting in, I mean, those emotions just manifest into our bodies so deeply, right?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I'm sure you know, an autoimmune is conflict in the body, and I certainly had externally and internally. I did my best to take the weight. My mum, who had postnatal depression, on top of 3 other kids, and my dad, who couldn't cope with it. So yeah, I just...
Your dad, who couldn't cope with it. Yeah. Because there's no understanding there at all for...
No, he's not an emotional chap, and he does his best. My mum did her best, but she couldn't show love. So I had a lot of attachment, like my siblings really. I had a lot of attachment issues with even people looking at me. Horrifying.
Oh, that's crazy, right? It's crazy because, people that are around you would not know what's going on within you, right?
Oh no, I was very good at acting, which I did actually study drama, and then I realised I was too ill to carry on. But late, like in the 2 or 3 years ago, I thought, of course, actors, you get to be someone else.
Right.
Easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an escapism. And for me, it was, be someone else. Don't let anyone else see how vulnerable you are, because understandably that feels unsafe.
Oh, totally. And so this was like a bit of multiple sclerosis then, is what?
Yeah, I wasn't diagnosed at this time, but I mean, my feeling, and I know other people's feelings, is multiple sclerosis comes out of trauma, the nervous system in overwhelm, and mine came out in MS. Started with the legs, then the eyes, the remembering thing in the ass, really.
Yeah.
Through my 20s, well, actually, in my early 20s, things were coming up as fatigue, chronic fatigue. I knew I didn't have that, and I just went to Canada. I was so scared. I just thought, if I'm not going to make it, I'm just going to go somewhere. And I always wanted to travel, but was too scared to travel. But really, not understanding my own health and being scared of that, I began my escapism pattern, which had already gone on with like schools and things. But to get away, obviously, I was still with myself, so it didn't quite work. But yeah.
But you escaped to Salt Spring Island,
Yeah.
which is not far from where I live. And it is kind of the hippie granola, healthy. I mean, you couldn't have gone anywhere better to heal.
So I was only there about a month or two at a youth hostel, and I lost my cat while I was out there. So that was an added kind of thing. And
So there wasn't really any healing happening then.
no, I mean, I'm sure there was, because I was in a temperate rainforest and chilling out and stuff. But yeah, there was a bit of healing, but there was so much healing needed, Jackie, that, I wasn't really aware of how to even begin, apart from counselling, which was just like my head against the wall, literally and physically.
That's such an incredible point that you just said, is that, like, where do we start, when there's just a pile up of trauma, hence me having the passion of wanting to talk with everybody about their healing journey and what they know, because it's a journey. And unless you have some kind of support or you have some kind of background or knowledge, you're just going to end up in the medical hospital system on a pile of drugs that then start counteracting each other. And the side effects are not just side effects, they're effects. They're not just side effects. They come with that drug. Oh, you might you might get anxiety and, a heart attack. And if this happens, and severe depression and blah, blah. No, that's part of that drug. It's not just a side effect, right? So now we're going to add another one on top of that one, because this one, it's a Band-Aid, and it's such a wicked one to rip off, and to be able to start at the root of, like you're saying, it's the nervous system, right? So how did you come across, how did you heal yourself? I mean, we're in a wheelchair, we're not functioning, to now we have a life with a smile on your face, we're running down the beach, like.
Yeah, thank goodness. I was given medication for when my knees started, and I lost a friend at 19 to suicide. He was on a lot of medication, and from then on I was no one's taking my life away from me, even though I felt my life was shit. I kind of thought, I had this message in me, I don't know when it began, early 20s, or my body got me into this, my body will get me out. That was about my flicker of a flame that kind of came in. Traveling in my 20s helped, but it was actually when I was 28, I was in Australia, and people thought I was drunk. Fortunately, I was with a friend, so I was in and out of hospital in Australia. I couldn't get away from it. I couldn't get away from what was going on. Speaking French, I'm not fluent in French. Sometimes I couldn't speak. My left side went, it just kind of, occasionally it would come back and then it would go again. So left
side of your body, or the left side of your brain? Like left side
of my body.
The left side of your body.
And my right leg. So my right hand work, my right arm. And that kind of came and went over the years. I have a lot of memory gaps, and I feel that's my nervous system just protecting me. I'd shut down like so many people do, like babies do. If you're overwhelmed, you shut down in survival, so you don't need to remember, timelines and things. It doesn't feel like my life, what I'm sharing.
Yes.
It feels like something I've read that's very much in me, but I've not actually lived it, because I feel so different. So I went through these roller coasters of having counselling, not having counselling, getting diagnosed with MS, getting that retracted, much to my disappointment, and then having to fight the system of medical people to tell me what is going on. And the relief, which happened actually in my teens with glandular fever, the disbelief from the medics, and then the relief from me, and then actually I don't really want this, but there's some relief in guess being understood, being validated, all these weird symptoms. I had extra symptoms of seizures, things like that.
I think that's really big, isn't it? It's like just to be heard and to be understood, and for somebody to actually have some compassion and actually take the time out to care.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I did have a doctor that just said, I don't care what the consultants are saying, we're going to do another MRI. And that was wonderful. It was like a meeting rather than seeing, like, wonderful in the sense that I felt I know what's going on now. And then my partner at the time found magnesium might be helpful. So that actually made quite a difference. My body was still very unreliable. I started doing Dr. Terry Weil's protocol, and I started to be able to stand. There's quite a diet change, but then I was hit with quite a challenging situation, as often life brings you, and my health anyway then plummeted again. So then I changed to a protocol called overcame, which is mainly plant-based, and knew I needed to deal with what I thought was mental health, but actually was my nervous system. So again, I started with kind of CBT. I just got so sick, I mean, that phrase, I got sick, I didn't want to talk about my life. I didn't want to talk. I'd had some suicide attempts. I didn't want to talk about my family abuse and other things that went on in my life. Trauma. I was.
It kind of keeps us stuck there, doesn't it? Reliving, because every time we're sharing it, it's like we're reliving it. And
exactly, our nervous system remembers everything, whether it's joyous or challenging or disastrous, and just activates it all. So I then realised that I'd been neglected in my childhood. Never kind of thought that's kind of what was going on. And I joined some program, read a book, and that helped me kind of identify to a certain level. I was really lost in my identity through all this, my gender identity, my ancestral identity. There was just so much, who am I, where am I, terrified of the world. I mean, terrified. Even if I hear a leaf rolling down, I was terrified. At this point, I had an assistance dog, everything.
We got a little bit of a glitch going on our internet there.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you heard.
Sorry, I heard it all. I was just flickering back and forth. You were saying, like, just even like a leaf falling, you would be. So you were, I experienced that just in this heightened level of
very, very hypervigilant. I had been tested for my sensory processing. That was about privately because I didn't recognize it in adults. Which I found bizarre. But I got an assistance dog. I had to go out each day. I needed to walk. She helped me.
That's kind of cool. An assistance dog. I bet that would have been an incredible relationship.
It was the best relationship I'd ever had. I mean, I had a partner, but I didn't feel their love, even though they loved me. But I felt my dog's love. I had cats. And so again, I kind of fell into that or was molded into that childhood security of some pets. All the colour that I used to wear had just gone. I'd just gone so internal and felt unsafe. I wanted to look. So when I realised, I had a neglecting childhood. My parents did their best, but didn't serve me very well. In that group that I was on, I think it was a Facebook group, someone just posted about a summit on the nervous system trauma. And I thought, trauma's an event. I've dealt with those events. Move on. I'm sick of talking about them, and just something started landing in those talks and interviews about somatic, where my body didn't feel good to me. I didn't trust my body, didn't rely on it. I didn't really trust what I was thinking. Where was the trust outside my dog and my cats? Nowhere. So I started doing these somatic sort of exercises.
Explain that. What's a somatic type of exercise?
So somatic is working with the nervous system using hands, so say on your heart or on your back. Dr. Peter Levine designed and founded this whole concept called somatic experiencing. So it's about working with the body and noticing the body. And when you've been paralyzed, you're numb. That's your body just focusing on what it needs to. This was a completely different concept for me. I'd also had a go with many therapies, but one of them was...
I think I saw it, NLP?
No, I've done all that. But the brain, when they put the pads on, and it's alpha, beta brainwave feeds, and they can adjust it. So I did a bit of that, and I was able to read and remember what I was reading. That felt amazing. But like so many of these
from
things,
that treatment, from them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I did it for a month. This is all during COVID. Felt amazing, Jackie, to be able to read and remember. And I got to read
What a
novels. And
concept.
it was my escape then, But of course, I was reading stuff that was more drama, more tragicness, because
Right.
I guess I was just feeding into what was familiar. But that wore off,
Which we're not aware of, right?
Yes.
We think, okay,
Yes.
well, I'm reading, but what are we reading? What are we inputting, right?
What are we creating?
We might as well just put on the freaking evening news.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my kids, they read and I'm like, hey, just so you know, your body doesn't know that that's not actually happening to you, right? That like the crime, the trauma, the murder mystery, the horror, like your body's actually experiencing that as though it's actually happening to you, which is so crazy.
It is. It's wild, isn't it?
It does make me understand why I can't take it.
Yeah, it's very worrying. I did actually end up in hospital after watching something on the TV because I just thought I was in it.
You're too sensitive.
My body felt I was in it, and I ended up in A&E because I had some non-epileptic seizures, and they'd all gone crazy.
Wow, that's wild, right? But that's another whole point that we don't know that. We don't have that understanding that what we're putting in there is actually directly affecting our nervous system.
Like food, nutrition.
Oh, like food. How about that? Or toxic food system.
So, yeah, I started doing somatic work. I then did a daily course with other people, and I was still living in my cocoon. And on about the third day, I was walking my dog. It was raining. I had my hood up, and I could hear the rain, which I've been terrified of since about the age of 8. Most people like the sound of rain, but for me, it was not pleasant. But this day, I heard drumming. I didn't even think about it. I just heard it on my head, and I was like, wow, that's cool. And the skeptic part came in of, oh, yeah, you're doing another. But yeah, I started to sort of feel more, my baseline was very low, okay, but a bit more connected with myself, a bit more kind of like my feet are connected to my head. So I had full mobility, but I didn't feel connected.
Yeah, I think that's common, actually. I was watching that Earthing movie again, and just the fact that, unless our bare feet are touching the ground, the grass, the sand, the disconnected, we've got the rubber soles on that's not allowing us to ground and connect to what we're a part of. That's a whole other, just that information, just the awareness of how important that is.
Yeah, I did notice during my illest times that when I was able to move my hands, I was very tactile. Everything, I really felt it. I couldn't always keep my eyes open or, other senses. My smell was very strong. Obviously, I could hear too much. And light was massive, but sometimes just feeling, I'm just touching my zit now, but it would be something, and it would. So when I did come back from Australia for a bit in my wheelchair, I started playing the piano. I could play the piano, not, as a very mild amateur, but I played it with my eyes shut, Jack, and I just felt so, I wouldn't say the word alive, but I felt surviving. I felt awake to a certain level, and I just played whatever I wanted. It wasn't any known tune, but I felt the sound helped me, and, a bit of moving my upper body, and it just felt like some kind of connection.
Yeah, that's cool. Just those little, you know what I mean? And the awareness to know, okay, right? There's a pathway here.
Yeah, I didn't think about it. It was just, there was a piano. I was back in England, just vaguely remember just wheeling up to the piano. Just your nervous system knows what it needs is just sound. And
yeah, the nervous system, it's a crazy thing. And it's actually all like attached to our eyes, apparently, right? And then when we're in the narrowing, right? Like our vision goes from here to here, and we get I dealt with I had some massive concussions during a bunch of family deaths and loss and all kinds of crazy stuff all happening at the same time. And my nervous system was at such a heightened, I wasn't seeing out of my eyes properly. I couldn't take the light. Everything was just like very, very heightened, very overwhelming. And then when you're in that state, of course, then you're attracting more of that state, which is just awesome. Right. So how do you get out of that when you're in the spiral and it's so challenging, it's so defeating. some days because you just don't know that you're ever going to be okay again.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing for the mind that is just too much. The body kind of finds some way through, but your mind is just like, maybe what's the point? Or can't even feed myself thing. Yeah, it would just felt for me. It felt really sad, and I lost a lot of people around me because they just didn't understand.
And people can't, they don't understand and they don't know how to support you. And then it just almost becomes a stress for them as well, right?
Yeah, and when you can't have noise or movement.
That's right.
I had a
energy to keep that relationship.
Yeah.
I went through that. I needed to just isolate almost, which is not good for us either. But yeah, everybody else's energy is almost as like another whole overwhelm when the system.
I mean, I had this year in bed that I couldn't even cope with my cat on the bed. And I adore cats. There was like cardboard on the windows except a tiny bit of light, so we didn't have to put the up. And it was horrible.
And I think the lack of understanding from the people around you, like, bless their hearts, but they don't know. They don't know.
No, and their capacity, let's remember their capacity. Just seeing me in bed, or I'd had 2 sort of failed attempts of suicide, sort of 5, 9 years before kind of thing. And I didn't feel I had the safety in me, I wouldn't have used the word safety back then. The energy to, the medics didn't know what was wrong, blah, blah, blah. And you can't believe, well, they do believe you, but you're not fitting into a box, because you've got this going on and that going on. And, so I kept saying no to medication.
There's many boxes out there in our society that we need to fit into. So crazy. Our big fat toes don't fit into any of them properly. It's so ridiculous. Anyway, so we were on the somatic healing. So you started to
connect with my body.
Okay.
And noticed that, for example, when my belly really hurt, that I was getting really stressed. I was going through a separation by this point. Realized me and my then partner, as I was getting better, were completely different, understandably. And she was actually more like my family, which makes sense as well. Very lovely, very safe, but not safe. I didn't feel safe, but not safe, if that makes sense, when you don't feel safe. So I started noticing I had a lot of belly pain that kind of didn't quite push away anymore. I was doing certain exercises 3 times a day. I was doing fitness. My dog was getting a bit older by this point, so I was probably only walking out 3 miles each day. I changed, sort of tweaking what I was eating, which I'd done a lot, but I stopped comfort eating. Instead of going for comfort food, I just kind of, after my walk, for example, I need something to eat. And it was all healthy stuff, but I then realized, no, let's just support my heart or my back, or just pause. I was scared of pausing years before, just stopping. I don't want to stop, just got to keep going. A lot of us push through, distract, numb, whatever, and I started to realize more that was coming from my body, more messages, more sensations, and got curious, and I was learning about. I then started doing an IFS course, so that's internal system arts.
One more time, internal what?
Internal family systems.
Okay.
So I blended the somatic with this, so you have a part of you that's very young and terrified, you that's anxious, and by actually sitting with those parts in a very safe environment with your true self, I got to really understand and dramatically change. Hence why my website and coaching is flipping live.
Cool. That's really cool.
Very cool.
It is.
I had a lot of friends that didn't understand who I was anymore.
Yeah, just
understandably.
Right. Yeah, it's just education. It's just knowledge that mainstream isn't talking about. So hence.
And also, Jackie, people started. I didn't smile until this year, which was 2021. I didn't really smile, and then people kept saying, "God, your smile's so big," and I'm like, "I'm just alive," I didn't do eye contact, smile, or anything until this point. I wouldn't speak to people. I didn't go on camera. And then I was asked if I wanted to be a mentor. And I just went, yeah, because I've been typing, helping people and watching people listen to me and follow. I was sort of like, oh my God, they're doing what I say. When you've grown up with people that don't listen and you're invisible, people are listening like you are. People are listening and and they're getting it and they're feeling.
Oh my God, you matter. You matter.
Yeah. And
Wow.
that just was like, wow, I can help people and I can be me. How does that work? And I've got more energy, obviously, when you're yourself. So yeah, that was, so I hadn't worked for about 13 years because of my health, because I was so unreliable, which irritated part of me, that's for sure, very challenging. And here I was just sort of in a community, but I was helping others.
That's awesome.
I was living it.
Exciting.
I was
You have a
modeling it.
fabulous smile, by the way. What a shame that you hadn't smiled for
I know, 49 years.
right? Oh, wow. That's great. And, I think that's the biggest thing is sharing our story, because there's other people out there that go, oh my God, that's me, right? What did she do? Right?
Yeah.
Tell me what you did, right? Let me have a conversation with her because that resonates with my story, right?
And that really touches me because so many people get diagnosed with MS, and I personally feel that there's something underneath that, they can support. And if I can inspire, but if I can carry on inspiring other people. Just over a year ago, Jackie, I climbed a mountain, and I have done quite a lot of hiking, but I climbed a mountain in Scotland, and it was quite strenuous. My now partner was like, she's really going for it. I'm so proud of her. And I was just going up this mountain, Ben Lomond, and not the highest mountain, but it was quite a mountain.
Oh, there was a mountain. You climbed a mountain.
And I just kept saying, this girl can. Oh my God. And the photo at the top, which is on my website, is just euphoria of never doubted it in the last couple of years. Before that, yes. But I have done bits of posts over the years, these 10 years, where I used to live. And it always fascinated me that I could walk. And when I didn't need to think about walk, I could put my hands in my...
Wow.
I mean, I don't do that now because it's not very useful when you're hiking, but I could, is that I can do this. I'm enabled outside, because when you're in a wheelchair, as you probably found with your daughter, you can make everything accommodated inside. As soon as you go somewhere, you want to go for a meal, can't get in again, you feel pushed back. And just saying that now reminds me of my childhood. No, you can't.
Yeah, it's incredible the stories that are running in our head that are so not the truth that we keep in our present moment from not checking in and revisiting and clearing those stories up as well. Our perception of what happened before. And so because that happened before, excuse me, there's my cold from my travels. We think that's by thinking about that, we then bring that into our present moment and keep that as a truth. And we don't move past it because we believe that happened once before and we had that feeling. And so we bring that whole feeling and that whole experience right into the present moment. And we get to be right about the fact that we can't do that. And it's so crazy. It's so crazy that we're just not aware. We're not aware that we're even doing that to ourselves.
Yeah. And it's a lot of it's a survival that we've learned. And so I hold a lot of passion to how my body for me has survived. I've also had to learn that people pleasing is not great. And I call myself an ex-people pleaser. Thought I got that all sus until our dog got quite poorly. And then that seemed to be, I'm an animal pleaser, which makes sense when animals were felt like my safety as a kid. So I've been, as always, evolving and leveling up recently with going through pleasing and not being able to check in as much as I need to. How am I? What's my body telling me? Do I need to pause more?
Yeah, and I think that it's this, right?
Yeah, and the ups and the downs are all part of life. It's keeping that, it's seeing if you're resilient. I wear an aura ring, and that really helps me check in with how much activity I need to or can do, because I used to be a pusher and just explore it. Exercise was something when I was well enough I do, not massively, but walking, something I've always loved to do. And obviously the last 10 years I'm exceedingly passionate about walking.
Yeah, I look at you and I just think to myself, right, like we believe that as we get older we decline, and look at you, you're doing the exact opposite, right?
Yes,
how exciting is
exactly that, Jackie, you got it. I always say that when I'm 80 I'm going to be skateboarding or something. I've never
I love that.
I'm not sure if I'll be there, but I do a lot of balance exercises each day. And but I take supplements. I have a good, healthy lifestyle and diet and do these exercises, stretches and everything. And that's my gift to myself, then be able to thrive and, flip my life. And I just would be lovely if any of this means something to someone, or it just sort of
does. Just so you know, it does. It matters. It does matter. I know that for a fact. I'm not sure who it matters to, but for some reason, just going through my own journey and having different things happen, and I changed people's lives that I didn't even know I changed, just different stories or whatever that happened to me. And it was like, okay, that like it matters. It matters to share. It matters that I'm still standing and that I walked through it. It does. It matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how are you coaching? Like what does that look like for people to work?
So I used to do with a company, I used to do workshops and coach the staff, and just add this in that I started getting feedback a couple of years ago, 3 years ago actually now, and I was like, ooh, because I've not received sort of anything other than what I felt anyway. I didn't notice if I did receive, it just always felt criticism. Oh, you can't do this, it just felt it. And, I'm sure it wasn't given intentionally, but it certainly felt it. So when I started getting feedback, I found out, I just didn't absorb it, you just kind of, and then when I left that company doing with the staff, they gave me feedback, and afterwards I just cried. So I always welcome tears because it's a release, and it landed. And then I felt I had more availability to take more feedback people. So I did more coaching. I then did my own sort of separate to that organisation, one-to-one coaching. I did love groups though. Groups are just love giving my energy out, and
Do you do that through Zoom? Like, do you do your coaching through Zoom?
Yeah, on whatever platform people can work with. Yeah, but actually now there's a pivot coming, sort of in the fall, of focusing on being a speaker and doing videos out in nature and connecting to the body, because that's really where my passion and calling is, to be less on screen as well. Some maybe, hopefully, and do inspirational speaking on stage and just get people to, or help people help themselves.
Well, it's an incredible story. I'm loving that you're so alive and you glow and your smile is phenomenal. And you're running down the beach, no longer in a wheelchair. It's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes I don't get how big that is. I know people have said to me, oh, hold on a minute. How did you get from being a wheelchair to this height today? I'm like, I just did it. And they're like, hold on. And that's when I was like, oh, okay, maybe I need to share this a bit.
Yes.
Because sometimes you can take things I just did it.
Take for granted that happened. But the fact that you did it, it's like the 400-minute mile or whatever, the 400 mile, whatever, 400, did I say it right? Nobody could do it. And then one person did it. And then that next week, 5 more did it, because one person showed the way, and it matters.
And many people, as many people have overcome what guidance they've been given, shall we say, for their medical challenges. Many people have overcome things, and my only goal was to get well. Now I need to find a new goal, and that's probably just going to be have fun.
And your goal really is to share, to help others be well.
Yeah, be themselves, and to start waking up. And I mean that in a loving way, to start lovingly waking up, listening to their body, to trust your body. For me anyway, to start trusting my body meant I could trust others.
Love it. Wow, that's quite a journey. So we're going to be international speaker on stage sharing.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah, bring it on.
Bring it on.
Do you know, one of my idols as a kid was Annie Lennox.
And yes, of course.
She owned the stage, and she worked it, and she brought everyone together. And I'm no Annie Lennox, I'm no singer, but I'll do my bit.
Right. But that energy, right? To have that focus of energy of, bringing forth that. I love that. Yeah, she's a powerhouse, eh? Still alive, Annie Lennox?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she was a powerhouse. I love that whole music scene too. You go to those concerts, and the fact that and the energy that's there, right? That is brought forth is so powerful. Yeah. It'd be great to see you out there sharing your energy and your life, and sharing sharing that we can heal. Like, we're so powerful. We're so powerful. We just don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone is so unique.
But it all comes to going within, right? We're all looking outside for somebody, something, some medicine, something to fix it. And it's all just within.
Yeah. And you could even go a depth further of, do we need fixing or just healing? You know, do we want to fight our health or do we want to work with it? I go for the latter, because a fight is going to be just as conflicting.
That's right. Yeah, going up against, it's like pushing against, right? Excuse me. The contrast brings such clarity to us, right? Yeah, like, this does not feel good, right? I don't want this. So what do I want? And so I guess if you're there and you have that contrast, it's a gift, if we could just look at it that way, for the fact that we're pivoting and now looking for, where am I headed? Because this isn't it.
Yeah, that's the journey. And it's so, I love the word gift, because I see so many gifts in so many things, even each day, or if something doesn't go right. It used to be, oh, it's just another mess up, or, it always goes wrong, blah, 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 that dialogue. And now it's like, okay, there's a gift. It could be me taking a picture of some wildlife. It could be me meeting someone and just having this bizarre conversation, or whatever it is. And I do feel, and I don't say this lightly, I do feel my MS was a gift, because it's helped me work through and overcome so much trauma and attachment challenge. That my my body has said, we're not going to work so well now, because we really need to sort out the fundamentals of the nervous system. So you're going to be a bit, useless. And
I think every person I speak with does share that the trauma, the disease, the whatever ends up being the gift, right? Because it's the catalyst to get us to choose.
Yeah, sometimes it's out of fear, but that fear part of you has a message.
Gets us moving.
It needs to feel safe. It needs to feel loved. It needs the foundations of safety.
Yeah.
To help you to then be able to survive, live, life, and everyone can. I really believe.
Oh yeah, yeah, It's all, I don't know. I'm still just coming down off of my week with Dr. Joe Dispenza. The long days, 4 a.m. We did a 5-hour meditation at 4 a.m. The other meditations were walking on the beach meditations starting at 6 a.m. And then education and just giving us every opportunity to go within, to find, our energy centers, to find our heart, to find the pineal gland, to access ourselves. And there's some incredible healing going on there for people. It's pretty wild. It's wild stuff, once we're aware of what's actually going on and how the body actually works and how to clear out the crap. That knowledge is so powerful, right?
Yeah, and feeling it and you doing it in community.
Yeah, with 2,100 people power walking on the meditations on the beach with 2,100 people at 6 a.m. It's incredible. What that energy of, everybody's in a different place, and everybody, there's people in wheelchairs, there's people, from one scope to the other, right? And the healings that are happening like this it's just mind blowing. Yeah, we can heal ourselves. We just need to know.
Absolutely.
But it's an inside job.
It is an inside job, and we do need people to help us. Whatever modality.
Dr. Joe has a coach. Everybody needs a coach, because we can't see ourselves. It's so easy to see what everybody else is doing, usually what everybody else is doing wrong. The judgmental ego comes in, right? To have somebody who's been there, who's walked it, who can share with compassion and listen, like yourself, it's invaluable.
Yeah, and compassion is, it's so cool, isn't it? Feeling
what a concept. Passion.
We've all got it.
This world. Yeah.
Compassion was very foreign to me for most of my life, and still really getting used to people like my partner just checking in with me every so often, or, how am I? It used to be, I'm all right, why? Why are you asking? What do you want? That's the sort of program in my head. What are you after? What's the catch? All those sort of things just allowing it in and feeling safe enough to allow others in once we've allowed ourselves in and given ourselves that permission to feel.
Right. That's huge right there. That is huge. Well, Anja Williams, it was very, very nice chatting with you today. I look forward to seeing you on the big stage, sharing your message.
Well, thank you so much, Jackie, and thank you to your team as well. Thank you for reaching out to me. And
absolutely. And when you have your your big book written, and your stage performances, I expect an invite and some information about it.
Oh, and the movie as well. You want that as well?
Yes, I do.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Jackie.
Okay, have a good rest of your day. Bye for now.
Thank you for everything you do.
Thanks for hanging out and learning with me about how we can become the best version of ourselves. See you next time.